Alexa, turn on studio. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into Hoopsville. It is a Tuesday afternoon, the 24th of March. Here's to you, everybody who's gotten to this point in the season. There's just 3 teams left. That is the oddest thing to say when on this show is it's 3 teams left. That's not normal, right? I'm your host, Dave McHugh. Welcome in. Hope you are enjoying the programming. I hope you've enjoyed it all season. If you are just new to the show, welcome to the show. If you've got questions, all the information at the bottom of the screen on how you can get a hold of us. Email us, hoopsville at d3sports.com. Find us on Twitter /X at D3Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville. On Facebook at facebook.com/Hoopsville. We're on Instagram as well and Threads. So I forgot to post about today's show on Threads. And we're on Blue Sky, which we're still trying to figure out. What else is there? Oh, I'm having a cup of coffee, so buy me a cup of coffee. Help us, especially in the offseason, continue our work. The Off-Court podcast will entertain you throughout the offseason, and will entertain us as well. To get access to it, it's buymeacoffee.com. That's buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville. You can interact with us there. You can get a lot of extra perks and all of that jazz. So please do not hesitate. We would love to have your support, and we appreciate any support you can give us along the way. You can sign up to simply buy us some coffee. Those are donations. Or you can join the Hoopsville membership. I'm going to have to do a whole video about it because I think it's important, and it certainly helps us. I know some out there like to tout that they don't take any financing. Here's the deal. We do a lot of work on this show, and we spend a lot of time on it. And any little bit helps to keep this studio up and running. Just comes down to that. We have an interesting show ahead of us. Can't wait to do this. First off, we'll talk to the unassuming, or unexpected is a better term, national champs in women's basketball. Denison women's basketball will join us. Hirt, along with several of her junior stars, will join us to talk about how they took down the Giant Killers. Yeah, they were the Giant Killers who took down the Giant Killers. They were the David who took down David? Or they were the David who took down Goliath? Who took down Goliath? Yeah, we'll figure it out. But a wild women's final weekend. First off, Denison gets past Wisconsin-Oshkosh, which we find out in hindsight was dealing with a flu and maybe mono going through the program. Couple of posts on socials after the game showed players had, at least one, if not more, had been in IV clinics during the day leading up to the title game, or semifinal game, apologies. Talk about horrible timing, though Denison still played amazingly well. And then, of course, the marquee game in the semifinals was undefeated Scranton going up against 91 straight win NYU. Scranton held NYU to 5 points in the opening quarter. And as you expected, NYU came back. I think took the lead at one point. But Scranton holds off to knock off NYU and a 91-game winning streak. I'll be honest, Coach Ben O'Brien, you did not get our memo. We were hoping to have this storyline going towards a UConn undefeated season next year. We're naming this show Unscripted because apparently you didn't stick to the script, right? Like, come on, we had a storyline all set up and everything. And Ben O'Brien, Casey Cranston, and the rest of those Royals said, ripped that script up, wrote another one themselves. Absolutely amazing win over the Violets. And you would not be, you would be forgiven, I guess is the right term. Apologies. I don't know where my analogies are here, but you would be forgiven if you just thought, Scranton's going to be the national champs. Denison had other plans. So Scranton becomes the longest winning streak in Division III, and I think the third longest in women's basketball, but I could be wrong on that. It's top three at least, because they've won 30 straight. after knocking off NYU. So here comes the longest winning streak now. Just got 3 seasons to equal what NYU. Oh, it's over in 2 days because Denison then knocks off Scranton. We have no undefeateds left in Division III women's basketball, which I don't think anyone would have expected. We had 4 going into the final week of the regular season, 3 going into the NCAA tournament, 3 going into the second weekend of the NCAA tournament, 2 going into the final weekend of the tournament, and none remaining. Pretty impressive, Denison. So Mo Hirt and her junior stars, Abby Cooch and Ada Tout, will join us here on the show to talk about that. Then we go to the men's side. Our final trip to Fort Wayne for now. Don't know if they'll bid in the future. We can talk about that later. But we have the quarterfinals and semifinals in Fort Wayne, and what a weekend of men's basketball. All 4 games on Thursday were within 1 or 2 possessions at the end. And then Saturday didn't disappoint either. Even if Christopher Newport and Emory's score didn't look as close as you expected, it was a pretty interesting back and forth and close game. Emory survives, Mary Washington survives. We will talk to both head coaches, Jason Zimmerman and Marcus Kahn, together to talk about their escape from Fort Wayne and returning to Indiana next weekend. Not next weekend, apologies. Next, which will be in about a little under 2 weeks' time. Actually, they will be traveling there in a week's time. I believe they arrive on Wednesday of next week. We will talk to them about the pending national championship game for 2 debutantes. Never been there in men's basketball. Oh, thank you, Margaret. My brain froze on that one. I'll fix that in just a minute. But thank you, Margaret, for the message in the YouTube chat room. I knew I was saying it wrong, but my brain, again, not enough coffee today, apparently. But Jason and Marcus will join us to talk about their teams, how they got there, and really some of the maybe not obvious players who stood up and really made a difference, because Mary Washington knocked off the previous defending champs and only the first team to make 3 straight semifinal appearances since 2007, 8, and 9, when it was the Mary Washington Bears, and knocked off the only team who's had a real chance at a repeat since those Mary Washington Bears, the Trinity Bantams. And Emory knocked off a really good CNU team after a dandy of a game the day before against Illinois Wesleyan. And then later in the show, we'll hear from Pat Coleman and Ryan Scott. We'll recap Fort Wayne a bit, get their thoughts on it. To be honest, I didn't get a lot of their thoughts. I was busy with my broadcast. They were busy with their work. Then they had the All-Star game while I was kind of doing last-minute prep and talking to some people. And then after the championship game, there was some drink and merriment, though I was exhausted. So we really haven't had a chance to kind of dive into it as a trio. So we'll talk to them about that. And then we will announce the D3Hoops.com men's 2025-26 All-America teams. The women's teams have been announced. The women's top 25 has been announced, but we will recap those as well later in the program. But the exclusive reveal of those D3Hoops.com men's All-America team will come up here later today. So there you go. There's the spiel. And back to Margaret. She says, Ada Tauti. And I knew that. Denison's full of challenging little roster names that I do know, and my brain just went short-circuited. It short-circuited during the broadcast a few times. Here's a crazy one for you. Ready? So you've got Kai Robinson, who plays for Mary Washington. And I know his brother plays for Hood. And I was looking forward to talking about the fact that one of them went one direction, one of them went for the other from Arlington. And somewhere as I was leading up to telling the story in the 6th game of the weekend, my brain short circuits again and replaces the other Robinson for Randolph-Macon. Yeah, I'm not sure how I did that, but I made this great analogy. Who decided to stay north of King's Dominion and who stayed south of King's Dominion when King's Dominion had nothing to do with it? It was really who was going to be in Maryland, who was going to be in Virginia. That's not as sexy. I like my King's Dominion version better, personally. But it's not accurate. Someone did point that out like days later, and I went, oh yeah, my brain did short circuit on that. How about that? No one corrected me in the meantime. And hats off to all of you who did listen to us on YouTube or on ESPNU. I appreciate that. And thanks for not ripping our broadcast. I thought Brendan Gula did a great job. I enjoyed it. Production team was on point. And looking forward to working with almost all of them coming up at the championship game of the Final Four in Indy. On the women's side, I'm going to take one moment to say one thing. Scranton fans, stop it. There were complaints to the NCAA that Jeremy and Monica were being biased towards NYU in the semifinal game. You are full of it. You are absolutely full of it. I've known Monica Moore for, oh God, I can't even imagine I'm going to say this, a couple decades. I have worked with Monica Moore at Georgetown, high school sports. We've done national championships together. If there's one thing Monica Moore is, she is well prepared. She is neutral. She has more notes than you can even imagine. I love Monica so much. She has so many notes that sometimes she has too many notes. She wants to tell you everything about everybody on every team. Players not even playing. She's got it all. And you think she was biased towards NYU? You are insane. Absolutely, mind-blowingly insane. I love you, Scranton fans, for your loyalty. I love you, Scranton fans, for your dedication. I love you, Scranton fans, for being that much into Division III women's basketball. That is awesome. The rest of it's got to stop. Okay? Okay. That little spiel done. Let's move on with the rest of the show. Denison women's basketball is going to be an awesome conversation with Mo Hirt and her junior stars. Emory and Mary Washington men's basketball. Going to be an awesome conversation with two coaches we talked to recently and now are getting ready for the biggest game in not only program history, but maybe department history. I know Mary Washington certainly has had its successes in other sports, women's basketball a couple decades back, and other things, but this is huge for these two programs. And again, we're going to talk to Pat Coleman and Ryan Scott about the All-America teams. Looking forward to that announcement. We did that in 2013. I had kind of forgotten about this. We had done this in the break in 2013. I think we also announced the women's. That's not to say we needed to here. And I thought it was one of my favorite shows. The difference was I also wasn't getting ready for baseball season back in 2013. I think we did it in 2020 as well, now that I think about it more. I think we did a special show in 2020 to announce the American. By the way, Mascot is in the studio, and he is getting his bed ready, if you can see that on our show. The Tuck Man. I moved his beanbag so you could all see what all that noise is. I think we may have done it in 2020. Honestly, folks, I came back on a flight Sunday. I had a crew in the stadium Sunday. I then had to be in the ballpark Monday. I've got videos and trainings to watch the next couple of days before I'm back in the ballpark Thursday. I'm going to be in the ballpark 24 of the next 30 days, I think. Somebody scheduled that. I'm not really sure. Anyway, my point being is kind of mind lapsed on trying to prepare this one better, but looking forward to doing the All-America teams coming up. So there you go. There's your spiel. We've got Marcus Kahn and Jason Zimmerman later, but Denison women's basketball will be joining us very shortly. In the quick note, I want to mention, and we'll mention this a little bit later as well. You might remember Maxwell Pierce. He's a men's basketball player for Purchase years back. He became a Globetrotter. We're going to get a chance to talk to him on that off-court podcast in the future. He is the brother of Ben Pierce, potential player of the year in Division III men's basketball. He tweets this 45 minutes ago. On February 27th, I purposely planned my heart surgery for the 2-week break, anticipating that Emory would secure a spot in the national championship. That way I could attend every tournament game and recover in time for Indy. Don't let anyone tell you D3 Hoops fandom is weak. He's right about that. Here's my problem. I was talking to him quite a bit in Fort Wayne. The man did not mention this. Sir, I would have given you a lot more love. I gave you love. I would have given you a lot more love. He said, I was excited for the game. The procedure wasn't top of mind at the moment. You also had several games to call, and you did it well. Thanks for the well wishes. See you in Indy, good sir. I shall see you in Indy, good sir. That is an amazing story right there, folks. All right, we'll take a break. The ladies are on deck. We will get to them. The national champs, the Big Red, we're not talking the gum, is getting ready, well, I guess to chew it up with us. How about that? You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com for the WBCA studios. Great show ahead. Hope you're enjoying it. Come back with Denison next.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.D3Hoops.com.
The National Association of Basketball Coaches is the nation's premier professional development and advocacy organization for basketball coaches at every level. The NABC strives to serve as the voice for coaches on national issues while advancing the core value of leadership, service, advocacy, education, and inclusion. To learn more about the NABC and to become a member, visit NABC.com and follow the NABC on social media at NABC1927. That's NABC.com or NABC1927 on social media.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
In any way that we can.
To get a friend home safe.
To never blame the victim.
It's on us.
To stand up.
To make our community safe for all.
It's on us.
It's on us to look out for each other at parties.
It's on us.
To be more than just a bystander.
To step up and say something.
It's on us, all of us.
To stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
If I lose, I'll respond with respect.
If I win, I'll back it up with humility.
If I fail, I'll rise up with honor. It's tough for us to put it all on the line.
Don't undo my hard work with poor sportsmanship.
Respect. It's the name of the game.
Coach of the Year, Administrator of the Year, All-America Team, Wade Trophy. The WBCA doesn't just honor coaches, but players, administrators, and much more. The WBCA strives to honor those who have contributed to the advancement of women's basketball. Celebrate the present, honor the past, look to the future.
I used to never really talk, ever. I was afraid if I said something wrong, everyone would laugh at me. But then I started to play golf with Special Olympics. It helped me to find my voice. And now everyone else is speechless.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II.
Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. As we continue along on, I'm going to say maybe the penultimate episode of the season. I'm pretty sure we'll do an episode at the end of the season that will wrap up the men's championship. And I know it's delayed. I'm debating about this. Jostens award winners are announced later today. Timing slightly off with our show. Would love to have gotten them on today's show, but we can't due to the announcement timing. Maybe we'll do a separate interview with them. Maybe we'll throw it in at the end. I don't want to wait that long, but at the same time, it's an evergreen type thing. It's something that's always going to resonate. So anyway, this is probably the penultimate episode of the regular season, and we'll pivot towards our off-court podcast primarily in the offseason. Let's pivot to women's basketball. Denison, the champs of Division III women's basketball. It was a good weekend if you are a Denison sports fan. Swimming did pretty well as well. So did some others. There was a number of trophies that were on display at the Denison office from what I saw on the old social medias. The big one, women's basketball, pulling off a double upset, you could say, only because, again, I'm not sure how this works, but Scranton beat the Goliath of NYU in the semis, then Denison beat the Goliath of Scranton in the championship game? I think that's how it works, but it doesn't really work as an analogy, but it's still darn impressive, to say the least. So joining us on the Hoopsville hotline to talk all about it is the Violets of NYU. I'm sorry. The Lady Royals of... Nope. It's the Big Red of Denison. First off, all three colors. Love that fact. Mo Hirt and her juniors, welcome to the show. Congratulations. What an accomplishment.
Thank you so much for having us, Dave.
Coach, this is exactly how you drew it up, right? This is what you scripted. Start of the season, you said, you know what? We've got no votes in the top 25. We're going to go win this national championship, surprise everybody, knock off some undefeateds. We got this down set.
Yep, exactly how we drew it up. Right out of the timeout.
Right out of the timeout. By the way, 2 undefeateds in the last 3 games, Mo. Let's talk about that. You knock off W&L at their place in what was, right? Do I have there? Yes. Heck of a game to get to where you are now, defeating one of the best players in Division III in Mary Schleisner, then, and breaking her heart, and then in the semis, you knock off a really good lacrosse team, the Titans, Oshkosh, sorry. I had lacrosse in my head on the men's side for a different reason. Knock off a really good Oshkosh team while Scranton knocks off NYU. And then you play, well, again, one of the best players in Division III and Casey Cranston and the Royals, and you handle them pretty well. Just amazing. What was the secret in this final 2 weekends?
Yeah, I mean, I think we really thrived in the environment at W&L. It was really cool to play John Carroll on a neutral site, and obviously had to beat a really, really good team 3 times, which is difficult to do. But I think our preparation and just being ready for that moment was awesome. And then we knew we had to turn around and beat a really good W&L team on their home floor. But I don't know if I've ever experienced an environment like we played in. And I think, it was completely sold out. Just even in warm-ups, they were hooting and hollering on every miss, every make. And I think I just saw our kids smile, and I knew that we were going to thrive in that environment. I think that really brings us a lot of energy. It was just, I think, the pinnacle of what you want, the NCAA tournament when you kind of picture it. And so that was really cool. And obviously Mary and the great W&L team to be able to pull that out, and each team going on runs down the stretch and then earning the right to go to the Final Four. And play. We played at Roanoke's tournament back in December, and we talked about earning the right to come back there in March, and it's a pretty cool full circle moment for us.
Yeah, pretty amazing. Even the Scranton fans kind of made that Roanoke College feel a little bit more like their home gym in the final weekend. Abby, who was named tournament's most outstanding player, congratulations on that. I'm curious from your perspective, A, what it's like to play in that environment, and B, what's it like in those final 3 games and I guess 4, but really the last 3 to really prepare for 3 of the titans of Division III.
Yeah, it's so cool playing in those environments. It's amazing to see how many people support women's basketball and want to see a great game. And I think that the last 3 games were great games, and all W&L, Oshkosh, Scranton, all amazing teams. So we really had to lock in and scout them really well. That's all to our coaching staff, so props to them. And I think that in games like those, we have to limit mistakes, and we can't get down on ourselves when things go wrong. And I think that we didn't do that for all 3 games.
Ada Towdy joining us as well. You're a second-team D3Hoops.com All-American. Congratulations on that. You are going to kind of take on some of the bigger opponents in terms of talent and size and attention, as it were, in those final 3 games as well. How did you prepare for the game?
I think we knew that defense was going to win us our games, knowing that we had to shut down their best players. All of them can play really great basketball, but we knew that our defense is what fuels our offense, and making sure we take pride in that, taking pride in our one-on-one, our communication, all that controllable stuff, and really translating to offense. And I think it really showed and pulled out the win in all those games.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about logistics. Oshkosh had a challenge, let's say, of getting to Roanoke? Bone to pick I have with the NCAA in terms of the travel office in Indy, considering what I also experienced coming home with swim teams on my plane. You all could have gone home. It's all a bus ride. You could have gone back over the Appalachian Mountains in West Virginia and gotten into your own beds for a couple of days, then gone back over the Appalachian Mountains again, back down to the Roanoke Valley, another 45 minutes down the road. You didn't. I joked with Bethel's head coach, were they going to stay in town for the Final Four if they won? Where did the idea come from, and when did you decide that?
Yeah, when we knew we were going to be sent to WNL, we looked at the distance between Lexington and Salem, and we were like, wow, like, does it make a lot of sense to come back on a Sunday, have a practice, kind of recover on a Monday, something light, and then get back on the bus Tuesday? And so I talked to our administration, and they've been so supportive, of us throughout this run. And I was like, hey, would it be possible for us to just stay down there, like logistically? And, obviously we had spring break timed really well too, so they wouldn't be missing a ton of classes. And so we sent a team text and we're like, hey guys, like, would you guys rather, take the 6.5 hour windy bus ride back, or would you guys rather stay down there? Because we wanted to make sure it wasn't just us as a coaching staff, like, hey, we're staying down there. We wanted everybody to be on the same page about what we were doing and the mission that we had going down there. And so they're like, yeah, let's stay down there. So we packed for a week and a half, knowing that, we had a lot of confidence in our ability to make the trip to Salem. And they were ready for it. Even though they didn't pack all of their nicest clothes, they were a little bit thrown off by that. But, they really, we had some laundry mats. I mean, our SID was cleaning jerseys. So there's a lot of people that stepped up and helped us. And the logistics were a lot, trying to get to hotels early, extend them. But we have a great staff of people that helped us get there.
Knowing the Roanoke Valley as well and the city of Salem, they probably had a couple of host families ready to help you out as well. I'm hoping they put you in Hotel Roanoke so you could really enjoy the niceties of that hotel.
Nope.
Darn.
We got the whole inn that we stayed at was really, really nice though. They had like so many small touches. Like we had a balloon arch outside our team room. They got like little bags, pillowcases. They had some really nice touches throughout the whole experience. It was cool.
I'll admit, I don't think I've heard the pillowcase touch before. Salem does a lot of cool things, but that's a new one. No, they've got great hotels down there. I joke about Hotel Roanoke only because I loved it so much when I've stayed there. Obviously, you get ready, I guess maybe as an underdog, Abby, right? Like, no one's talking about you guys. They're talking about NYU. They're talking about Scranton. Maybe they're talking about the Titans. You kind of fly under the radar, even though you beat WNL. What was it like from that perspective in terms of expectations?
Yeah, I think that this whole season, I think that we were a little bit of an underdog. And I think that partly it's because we don't have the resume that other teams do. Like you see an NYU 91 game win streak, you see a Scranton and you see the Oshkosh and you see a Denison who hasn't really done anything at this level. And I think that everyone on the team, we came together. Like, we don't really care about this. Like the stuff people are saying on social media about us, we just want to play. We let our game speak for ourselves, and we don't do the talking.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Certainly works. Ada, from what you experienced, obviously you're both juniors, so you've got another year kind of playing with house money. Start the year, no votes in the top 25, start going on an absolute tear. The attention starts to get a little bit bigger. You only lose a couple of games. Conference play certainly looks to be pretty tough. At what point did you all, A, make it a mission that you wanted to be at a championship weekend, or B, realize that was a reality that could come true?
I mean, I think since the start of the season, we knew our potential. We knew that we wanted to be playing in March and we wanted to be playing our best basketball at the right time. We always say that. So we knew our end goal, and winning one game or being undefeated it was a good accomplishment, but we knew that wasn't our goal with the season. And we knew that we had to give it our all every single day. And it really paid off in the conference and then starting in the NCAA tournament. And we knew that we were making history and the potential we had. And we just wanted to keep playing basketball as long as we could.
I know there's a trick to this, Mo, about how you prepare for a weekend of basketball in the NCAA tournament. You obviously focus on the first team, right? Because if you don't get past them, it's pointless to focus on the second game. But it's hard in championship weekend not to do a little of both, I'm sure. what did you focus on with Oshkosh? What did you think you could take advantage of that you obviously did? And how much did that plan work? And how much did you have to adjust during game?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've been watching film like for the last month straight. Like anytime I have a free moment, watching film, trying to get a clip for these guys. So when today I woke up, I'm like, I don't have a scout to do, like I don't have film to do. But Oshkosh, I mean, such a well-coached team, so fundamental in what they do. Obviously, our like styles were so incredibly different, right? Their pace versus our pace is the stat that stands out the most. So watching them, we knew we had to try to speed them up as much as possible, and whoever dictated the tempo and the pace of that game had a really good shot at winning. Obviously, really, really talented point guard, number 8, that was just super crafty. So we knew we had to put Molly on her to try to limit her her uncontested looks as much as possible. Ada took 22, their All-American, down low, and then keeping Ottilie by the basket to help protect a little bit. So I think we had a really good game plan, and luckily I think we dictated the pace for most of the game and got off to a really strong start. Helps when you're shooting 50% from 3 as well. But yeah, it was really cool because I think we played Denison women's basketball for 40 minutes and earned the right to play in that national championship game.
I was going to say, Ada, great example of taking on an All-American. At any point in that game, did it feel like you guys weren't doing what you wanted, that you did need to make adjustments, or did you feel like you had control of that game from your perspective down in the paint?
Yeah, I mean, I think we set the pace and set the tone right away from the jump. We had that lead and we saw what we were capable of against their game, and we knew that if we played true to our principles, you know, running in transition, creating havoc out of our press, and we played our game for 40 minutes, and I think the game really spoke for itself.
Abby, in many ways, everything goes through you in offense, right? You're either going to score or you're going to find someone to score. How comfortable were you in that game?
Very comfortable. I mean, Coach Mo put so much trust in me, and I feel like these past 2 years I've taken on a lot, and I think that's prepared me for these moments. And having a team that trusts me to do the right things, to say the right things is huge, because it gives me so much confidence to be able to tell people where to go, what they need. If they need a little pump up, if they need a little like, hey, let's go, like you got this, then I can give them to that.
So you guys knock off the Titans, and you know you're taking on one undefeated or the other. Scranton or NYU coming up. They're playing in the next semi, Coach. Did you guys how much did you stick around to watch that game? How much did you retreat back and watch video later? Like, what was the approach in the initial stages of getting ready for one of the Goliaths?
Yeah, I think like I have 4 women on staff, and so like I said, we watch a lot of film. So like you said, you can't like we took it one game at a time in terms of like I was focused on the Oshkosh scout and like making sure that we were limiting what they wanted to do. And then my assistant was starting on both Scranton and NYU, but they stayed the whole time, you know, for the NYU scout. I was sick after that Oshkosh game. I was not doing well. So I only stayed for a half. My assistant stayed back and tried to see if there was anything that we hadn't seen from the film that we could get in person. But I mean, yeah, we were just trying to figure out, you know, where could we take some advantages and what strengths could we bring to kind of, you know, get ready for Saturday. So I think these guys have such high basketball IQs too. They watch a lot of film on their own. They already came into Denison with really high basketball IQs. So it's cool to like pick their brains too in terms of like the game plans and figuring out where we can take some advantages and things like that. So it was cool that they got to watch the game, and then we went right back into film the next day. I think our film session was a little longer. It was 45 minutes. We went through a lot of stuff, but they bear with us on that. And, you know, I think they study the scout and really try to make sure that we play our game as opposed to theirs.
Quick production note. I had a previously recorded graphic up, folks. This is live. We are talking to Mo Hirt, Abby Cooch, and Ada Towdy live on the show. Apologies for any confusion there. Ladies, you head back knowing you're going to take on either Scranton or NYU, and the aura that comes with either what's going to be a 92-game winning streak or another undefeated team looking for a first title in a long time. Abby, what's your mindset initially? Like they say, you know, high IQ, watch a lot of video. What are you doing out of the gate to get ready for that game?
I mean, obviously there's a lot of pressure that comes with it, you know. Either way, we were going to play an undefeated team in the championship game. So that's a huge moment. And I think that one of our philosophies in the tournament was it's just another game. Like, obviously, you can see it's sweet, like, whatever round we're in, it's huge. But for us, it was just another game, and we treated it as such.
Ada, I got an interesting one for you. Either one of these are undefeated. Either one of them are expected to win. Either one of them have got stories that are, incredible. NYU, a 92-game winning streak, or Scranton, who knocked off Pitt, could win a national title after, et cetera, et cetera. You're playing with house money. Did that make it maybe a little bit easier here? Like, you got nothing to technically lose here.
I mean, yeah, I think it was just a new mindset and a new environment that we've been in, and we play our best basketball when we were having fun, and I think you're saying true to that, playing for each other, playing for something more than basketball. At the end of the day, we work so hard to get to this moment, so why not give it your all on the court? You leave everything out there. Like we always say, no regrets. So play with everything you have, and the game will speak for itself. And I think we really showed what we were capable of, and so proud of this team.
Mo, what was the game plan? What was the mentality going in of what you were going to have to do to stop Scranton from controlling the game like they did with NYU for the most part, and for them to walk out with the trophy?
And we said in the pregame halftime, I think whoever wins the rebound war is going to win this basketball game, because it was just two really just like gritty, tough teams, right? And we knew it was going to be a grind. Their defensive pressure, we knew we had to handle the ball. I mean, Abby, like you said, I mean, she's been battle tested in so many ways across her years. She was built for that moment. And then what's awesome is when people really try to pressure her, Ada, as our forward, can bring the ball down. Molly DeRiggi, like Violet Mitchell, we have so many other people that can help her out in terms of that. But, our game plan was we had to hold them to one and done, couldn't let them extend possessions. We really tried to keep Annalie around the rim as much as possible. Obviously, you talked about number 11 being a great All-American, trying to limit her touches, get her off of the block. And number 1, lightning fast. So we were like, Molly, go after it, right? Battle of some of the fastest guards, I think, in Division III. And she was great. And I mean, her ability to offensive rebound at 5'5", 5'4", was tremendous. And she got a lot of them in the game, but luckily they didn't convert into points as much as they could have. But I think, for us, we just have players that make plays. These two are built for this moment. They're just so clutch in so many ways, and they've just believed in the process. These kids are gym rats. They're always in the gym. They're always encouraging their teammates. They're great leaders, and we really do have a player-led team. So I think it's a credit to them that we just had a lot of players that made plays for us down the stretch.
Couple things that stood out to me about this game that even now, thinking back on it all these days later, I'm still kind of a little stunned. And Ben O'Brien pointed this one out immediately. Points in the paint went incredibly in the favor of you all. He thinks it might have been the first time all season that they lost that category themselves. Second thing that jumped out at me is they ran off a 9-0 run to start that second half, and won that third quarter 23-14, and the light still switched into the fourth. You won that one 22-7. You held them scoreless twice for like 6+ minutes. And the third thing, Cranston didn't score until the third quarter. Like she didn't get, I should say, let me rephrase that. She didn't get her first field goal until the third quarter. I want to hear from all three of you just the significance of how much you really controlled a team that knocked off NYU 2 nights before. Coach, starting with you.
Yeah, I think you got to give Annalie Mad-Twenge a lot of credit. I think she's been so underrated this year and what she's been able to do for us, because our defensive principles, obviously we're pressing a lot more this year, but like our half-court man-to-man principles haven't changed a lot. But they know that, like, man, if they get a step on me, Annalie's there to clean it up. Her timing, her presence, I mean, I just don't think that gets enough credit. And then when she goes off on a break, Morgan Kress comes in. I think Morgan Kress in 9 minutes had 7 rebounds and 3 blocks or something like that. So it's like we have no drop-off in terms of that. So 2 elite rim protectors there. And then Ada could play the 1 through the 5 for us. I mean, so we put her on 11, and then Annalie was able to be on someone that I think we dared the right people to shoot threes against us, right? And obviously Scranton's a great team, but we knew certain players that maybe we could get a little bit of help off or pack the paint in a little bit more. So the right players were shooting the threes, I think, down the stretch, which helped us a lot too.
Quickly, before we hear from the players, to your point, Ada had 10 rebounds, 8 of them on the defensive end with 15 points. And Annalie had 16 rebounds, 13 of them on the defensive end. Obviously, no second chance opportunities here, with 8 points in 31 minutes, along with 3 blocks. And yes, Kress had in 9 minutes, 7 boards, 5 on the defensive end with 3 blocks. And then, of course, Abby played 40 darn minutes. Abby, to the same point, the ability to control this game on both sides of the floor. Your thoughts?
I think that this game came down to discipline too, especially down the stretch when they went on that run in the third quarter. We had to stay composed. We came together as a team and we're like, we need to stay together because we don't win games as individuals. We win them as a team. And I think that in the fourth quarter, it showed that we came together and we weathered the storm of their run and we finished the game.
And Ada, from your perspective, you were part of a trio of players that were clearly frustrating Scranton.
Yeah, I mean, I think we knew that this game was going to be a game of runs. You know, no one was really hitting much in the first half, like from the field. So we knew they were going to get the shots that they were looking for, and kind of how we overcome those runs, and then how we like get our momentum back and translate to playing our game for the rest of the time.
Coach, when did it finally kind of dawn on you, you all were going to raise the Walnut and Browns?
Ooh, I think when Abby hit that three. When Abby hit that three and held the follow through a little bit, I was like, whoa. Like, this kid loves the moment, man. And then Ada's had some clutch threes. I think Adeline Moore coming off the bench has such like momentum changing plays for us too. You know, we talked about Morgan. Brooke Toigo has been so consistent in what she's brought off the bench. So, I mean, but I think when Abby hit that three, I was like, wow, that's a dagger three right there, you know, and it just caps off, I think, the type of, you know, year these two have had and you know, coming up in clutch moments. It was really, really a cool moment to see.
Abby, same? Was it in that moment you realized this was yours?
I think in that one, and then as we were dribbling the timeout, I think the five of us on the court got together in a huddle and we were like, wow, like we really did this. You know, we talked about at the beginning of the season, it was like, what ifs, like what if we got to this point? What if this, what if that? But seeing it become a reality was just surreal.
Ada, when was the moment for you?
The Abby's three. I started smiling on the court. I was like, oh my God, this is actually happening. And they called time out. There was maybe like a minute left. And I was like, okay, we finished this strong, but I knew we had it in the bag from that moment.
All right, what's campus life been like? You're competing with a swim national title and some other hardware. Who's getting the love and what's the excitement been like, Coach?
Oh my gosh. I mean, we had a whole group of people from other sports teams, community members to welcome us back. Our bus didn't have any AC on the way back. So our kids were like, they were screaming when they turned in and saw this group of people because they were just sweating on this bus. But they got out, we got the trophy out of the bus, super hot bus, and just like hoisted it over, and they got to take pictures with all their friends and community members. So that was really cool. And I mean, yeah, I haven't been able to sit in my office for more than 5 minutes without somebody coming in talking about it. And the amount of emails and texts, I mean, it's so cool for our university. It's so awesome for the NCAC, you know, to get this recognition. But I don't know, from you guys as players, I feel like there's celebrities on campus. I'm sure a lot of people coming up to them too.
I'm curious if anyone's walking around going, yeah, did you see who we beat swimming? I mean, I'm telling you, we took out the best teams. We weren't expected to win. I'm sure you're walking around like that, right?
I mean, it's crazy on campus. I'm getting stopped every single time I walk, getting like a congratulations. Like everyone I've seen has told me that they watched. Some people have told me that they cried. So it's just insane to see how many people support us and how many people just appreciate us.
Ada, any autographs? People wanting your auto on something?
Yeah, I mean, there's always like right when we came off the bus, there's like some little girls there like asking to sign like basketball shirts, and it's just great seeing like the impact we have on younger generations and just being that like those role models for them, and it's really just brings so much joy to us.
Yeah, we got to give a shout to TJ. TJ, his dad works in the registrar's office. He came down to Virginia, and they all signed his shirt. He's got these goggles on, Dave. It's like he's our super fan. He made the trip down to Salem to support us. So we got some people that they're just really impacting with who they are as people and basketball players.
Yeah, he sits behind our bench, and I kid you not, I can hear everything that comes out of his mouth. He is loud, but he's so supportive. After the game, we signed his shirt. We signed this paper thing that he had, but he's awesome.
That's pretty darn cool. Something about women's sports. I'm around it in both Division I and Division III level. Little girls wanting to be around the student athletes is something that always melts my heart. And you said something earlier, Mo, the high IQ of the student athlete. This is not a knock on any other division, but man, it fits Division III to a T. I don't want to leave, and I don't want to dwell on it, but I don't want to leave without talking about it quickly. Mo, I don't think a lot of people have really understood the battle that you've been going through with Hodgkin's lymphoma, and the impact that's had on you. You mentioned being sick earlier. I don't want to assume what that was about, but quickly, you going through all this and this culmination, and then Abby and Ada, I'd love your perspective to watch that and be there with her during all that.
Yeah, so these guys were coming in as first year. So it was November of 2023. I was like having a dry cough for a little while. Couldn't figure out why. I was tired all the time. I was drinking Monster Energy drinks way too much, and trying to figure it out. And so we were getting ready for, it was like Halloween, and we were getting ready for like our Halloween practice and stuff like that. Went to the doctor, got a chest x-ray, and they found a mass in my chest, and they couldn't figure out what it was at that moment. And they asked me to like go to an appointment right the next day. And so I didn't say anything at the Halloween practice because I didn't know what was going on. And then we had a scrimmage versus Muskingum the next day. And these guys were getting ready to suit up as freshmen. And they were like, hey, we need to admit you to the hospital right now. It's like pressing on some things. Like this is a risk. And I was like, but can I go to the scrimmage first and then go to the hospital?
Spoken like a true coach.
So luckily, I mean, I had an amazing staff, Olivia Willem, who's been with me for 3 years, that coached that scrimmage, coached the first 5 games of that 2023-2024 season, took them to Chicago on a team trip. And while I was in the hospital trying to figure out what it was, but yeah, got diagnosed with Hodgkin's and battled that all of their freshman season. And then in 2024, I found out that I only had a partial response to the chemo, so not a full response, and then had to get a stem cell transplant. So, it's really, I mean, I've coached all through it. I missed those 5 games, but once I got out of that hospital, it was a tearful embrace with a lot of these guys. They helped me shave my head when I was going through chemo. It's been a part of our story. I don't want it to dictate the story of this entire program, because these kids deserve every bit of the credit, but it's been, just going through that type of adversity and going through something, and then to be on the top of the mountain like we have been in the last week, I think it's just so cool. And I think there's so many ways, like Abby and Ada and a lot of these kids could have been like, I didn't sign up for this, coach going through something like this, program going through something like this. And they've believed in me even through all of this. And I think it's touched our program and community in a different way. And I think when you talk about adversity, there's basketball adversity and then there's real life adversity. And I think that's given me a lot of perspective. And I think it's important to share the story too, because there's so many ways that, cancer has affected people across the world. And I think being able to get through it with these guys, I wouldn't have been able to get through it without my team and these guys just showing up for me every day. And now being fully in remission after going through the stem cell transplant, I'm glad this year was relatively normal for them, but they've just stuck with me throughout it, and I'm so grateful to be their coach.
Ladies, anything you want to add? No. I get it. You don't have to. Mo, congratulations to you. Not only on being in remission, but this national championship thing. That's pretty darn cool too. Ladies, congratulations to you as well. Good luck in the offseason as you get ready for next year. Quickly, Abby and Ada, can you tell everybody what you're majoring in, just so we know what your challenges are now as you go to the classroom? Abby?
I'm a data analytics major with a minor in economics.
Wow.
I'm an
Sorry, Ada, what was yours?
economics major.
Okay. Yeah, I was a business economics one. I can feel for you. Abby, I work around a lot of people who do data analytics. Oh, good luck to both of you. Ladies, thanks so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it. I kept you a little too long. I know you got off to better things. In the meantime, though, we always give the guests the final word. Coach knows about this, so we'll start with her, and then, ladies, you can fill in. Any final thoughts you want to present to any of the Big Red fandom or anybody else out there who are tuned in?
Yeah, I just want to thank you, Dave. The coverage that D3 Hoops does, in raising the awareness of the amazing basketball that's being played at the Division III level is awesome. And I just want to thank our university for all the support and all the people that have showed up for us. What a season for Division III women's basketball from top to bottom. I think it was so competitive and such a fun experience. And, and I think our run just proves that it can happen, right? It happens for some people many years down the line. Some people it takes a few years, but I think just trusting the process when you're building a program, and you can have moments like this, and it starts with the people that you surround yourself with. But you guys have anything you want to share?
I mean, just, yeah, it's following that. We couldn't have done this without our community, the support that everyone showed to us. You know, it's really fueled our fire for the game and the love that we have for each other. And, you know, I'm so proud of this team and what we've done.
Well said. Ladies, thank you so much. Congratulations. Really impressive from start to finish. We'll look forward to catching up with you with the program next year. I have a feeling, Coach, we might be talking at the start of the season as a preseason number one. Just a gut feeling here. You guys take care.
I hope so.
Yep. Enjoy it. Take care, and we'll talk soon. Mo Hirt, Abby Cooch, Ada Towdy, joining us on the Hoopsville Hotline, talking about the Denison women's basketball national champs. Incredible story. We'll take a break. When we come back, the men's semi-finalist winners who are playing for a national title. Emory and Mary Washington men's coaches join us. And still ahead, All-America teams. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com from the WBCA studios. So much good stuff ahead of us. I hope you will stay tuned in.
It's on us to stop sexual assault
in any way that we can.
To get a friend home safe.
To never blame the victim.
It's on us.
to stand up.
To make our community safe for all.
It's on us.
It's on us to look out for each other at parties.
It's on us.
To be more than just a bystander.
To step up and say something.
It's on us, all of us,
To stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
Comprehensive learning is being able to adapt to experiences and apply the things that I learned. Being an athlete and juggling academics helped me grow as a person, and things that I've learned, I was able to apply it in another field, putting them into everyday life. Developing comprehensive learning helped me prioritize certain things to make sure I get to where I want to be.
For the love of the game. But for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that, a lot more.
Sure, the game is important, but as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics. And in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
You can make a difference.
We are the coaches of women's basketball. We are leaders and teachers, dreamers and winners. We are professionals who conduct ourselves ethically and with integrity. We place the education, safety, and well-being of the athletes we coach above all else, and teach them the fundamental values they need to succeed in life. We are coaches united for the good of our game and those who play it. We are the WBCA.
I learned a lot of valuable lessons playing college football. I never thought about the health benefits of exercise until I actually started to talk to coaches in college. It's not only just for performance, it's for life. My coaches instilled the importance of well-being, not only building up strength, mental health, getting enough sleep, eating properly is all what it is to be healthy. I decided that I want to go on a personal trainer and share my knowledge that I obtained in college about physical and mental well-being.
We are calling you, all of you. We are calling all Division III schools to join our cause.
It's on us to start the change. It's on us to be the change. It's on us. It's on Division III. It's on all of us to stop sexual assault.
Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. Hope you're enjoying the show. Pivoting now from women's to men's basketball. We have not crowned a champs in men's basketball on the Division III side. Most of you watching that are probably like, yeah, Dave, we know that. But I like to cover all my bases, just in case. Men will head to Indianapolis in 2 weeks' time. Less than. They'll be playing that game. In fact, teams will probably be gone or heading out the door in just over 1 week as they get ready to crown a champ in at the Gamebridge Arena in Indianapolis. It'll be D2 at like 1-ish, 4:30 for the D3 title game, and followed by the NIT men's championship game. Of course, that's on Sunday, Easter Sunday. The day before, it'll be the D1 Final Four, and the day after will be the D1 championship game. And the D3 teams, for the most part, get to take it all in, as well as, by the way, go under the spotlight. Two teams that came out of this past weekend in Fort Wayne were Emory and Mary Washington. Both of them had some key moments on their way to winning. Both had very different opponents on their way to getting there, and both of them are now debutantes in the championship game, having never been there in program history. They're probably getting a little bit of attention on campus or getting a little bit of attention on the Hoopsville hotline. Joining us simultaneously, it is Jason Zimmerman, the Emory men's basketball coach, Marcus Kahn, Mary Washington's men's basketball coach. Gentlemen, good to see you. I made the joke off air. I'll do it now. I apologize. I have left all my hair on my head.
You're also not coaching a basketball team there, Dave. So that's what happens when you start coaching teams. You know?
This is fair. I have noticed a trend. In fact, this past weekend, quick thought, vast majority of coaches did not have any hair. Now that you mention it, that's a good point. Let's start with you, Jason, since you're on the left-hand side of my screen. You get through a pretty darn good weekend, to say the least. Arguably, while being the number 2 team in the top 25, I think a lot of people felt you all may have been the best team there. Didn't mean it was easy by any stretch of the imagination. It was, you had an IWU team that wouldn't let you go, and then you had a Christopher Newport team that ran after you twice. Tell us about your weekend from your perspective.
Yeah, well, I thought it was a tremendous weekend, just the experience for our student athletes. Obviously, winning helps that as well, but just the experience of our student athletes in Fort Wayne. I think Visit Fort Wayne does a great job. The committee did a great job making it a really special, just atmosphere experience. The teams that we played make it a lot not as enjoyable experience because we played some really good teams. Getting there with Ron and John, they do a great job. But it was interesting. I felt really like our team was ready to play both nights, and we were fortunate enough to get out and continue on this weekend. But just a great experience this past weekend in Fort Wayne, and excited for what's to come.
Marcus, you guys had to get through Chicago, and then you had to get past brain freeze. Sorry, who was I calling games for again at the end at this tournament? I was calling for somebody, right? Literally my brain. Trinity, what am I doing? I'm going to talk about those games in a little bit more detail in a moment, but your perspective on just what the weekend was like.
Oh, it was just a special weekend for our guys. I mean, I had to kind of piggybacking off what Coach said, that the way they were treated from the moment we got off the plane into the hotel and throughout, I mean, they really enjoyed it. It gives them a big time experience, that they don't typically get at our level. With the media, playing in a venue like that, it was just a good weekend all around. Of course, that's easy to say after winning both games, but I think that was part of that as well. Playing two really good opponents, two teams that we'd kind of been chasing all season. I felt, and certainly in the rankings, and so able to test ourselves against them on a stage like that, we just made it a lot of fun. And I also, I think part of what makes weekends like that fun are the other teams and coaches involved with it. Gives me an opportunity to catch up with guys like Coach Zimmerman, and obviously seeing Coach Krikorian down there and meeting some new coaches along the way. Having an opportunity to talk with Coach McGrath in the hotel. The more I do this, the more I really enjoy those conversations. So it was a lot of fun.
It was really interesting to watch kind of play out your game, Marcus, against Chicago. You guys had an unbelievable first half. You had a 49-35 lead at the break. And I remember saying, I think I asked you at the halftime, how do you expect Chicago to respond? Or are you expecting them to kind of make a run at you? And they did. They came out in that next opening 4 minutes and kind of said, we're in this game. We're ready to play it. I said to you off air, I thought the timeout you called, which was technically the under 16, which meant we would have gotten another media break at the next whistle, was really pivotal. And then you took advantage, or were able to take advantage of the next 4.5 minutes with no whistle to put your tempo, put your game, put everything you wanted to do back in place. Is that an assessment that's anywhere near accurate? Because it looked like Chicago was going to make that a different game real quick.
Yeah, and we had talked about that certainly at halftime, and we played well. We came out, we scored the first basket of the second half, and then they took the momentum from us. And I think that was in calling a timeout, not of panic or certainly not of anger, but just of, hey, let's get back to playing the way we were. Man, we played so freely in the first half. We had to get back to that. And I think we went from that media to the next on our own little run there to kind of get some more separation again. And then they came back, and it was kind of a game of runs in the second half. I think they pulled within 4 a couple times, but I really liked the way we responded each time they did that.
And then you kind of had the same thing happen in your game on Saturday. You had a moment in the second half again. You guys fight all the way back in a game you're kind of maybe struggling with, especially in the first half. You hold Trinity to no field goals in the last 3.5 minutes of that first half. They go, 1 for 18, I think, in a span of about 10, 15 minutes of game time. You're back in the game. It's tied. Then they wake up and go on a run, and you call timeout, I think, at the under 4. Felt very reminiscent. Let's get back to what we're doing, and that was pivotal.
Yes, it was the same thing. I thought that we had the momentum to start the game. There was that, call that kind of shifted momentum for us, giving them that flagrant, the 2 free throws and the ball, and they scored on that possession, and that kind of really ate into our lead and took some momentum, some wind out of our sails, if you will, and they went on a run of their own. However, it was right there going into that half, that last media of the first half, where I just said, just get it down to a manageable number. Being down 16, I think we got it to 11 at half, and that was big. Coming out of half, it was the same message. Defense and rebounding is going to get us in this and keep us in it and help us get a lead. We did. We spent a lot of energy getting that thing tied again. Probably waited a little too long waiting for that media as they went on a little spurt before we could get some subs in there. But then, that final 3:20, whatever it was, the under 4 media, we just said, we talked about it, if we can hold them to one shot, we're going to win this game. And they're too good of an offensive rebounding team. We just cannot let that be the reason. And our guys did it. I mean, they executed really well in that last 4 minutes of the game.
Jason, on the other hand, you arguably had probably the most exciting semifinal or quarterfinal, which is weird to say because every single one of those games was exciting to some degree. But you and Illinois Wesleyan came out and absolutely put on a show in the first half alone. You shot 57% as a team. At one point, you were shooting 68%. From just the field, and then they were shooting 47.5%. This game was nip and tuck, and both teams were near 50 points at halftime. Just how did that game play out? Because the second half, while it cooled off, was still nip and tuck to the end.
So we do a really good job of guarding each other, don't we? Like we let everybody get 50 and we shoot 60%. Jesus, somebody. No, I don't actually think our defense was that bad.
No,
I thought it was a really high level game offensively from some really talented guys, and their kid Funk was phenomenal in the first half. I think the first media timeout he had like 12 points in the first 4 minutes of the game. So, but it was one of those games where you're like, I don't know if we can both keep doing that, right? And then we didn't quite at that level, but it was a really, really exciting college basketball game. And it just, we were able to create some separation in the second half. with like 6 minutes to go, and then the next thing you know, you look up and it's tied, right? Like I thought we missed a couple layups, a couple opportunities that we could have keep it stretched, and they turned those into flip plays on the other side where we missed a layup, they got a layup. So it was like a 4-point swing, and we had a couple of those and a couple of free throws, and then the game was tied. So, and I thought the guys were pretty poised and confident down the stretch. And of course, when you have, I think I said this in the press conference, when you have number 10 on your team, it helps and to be poised and confident. And not just men, but we had a lot of guys that were poised and confident down the stretch. So, yeah, it was a battle. It was, you're exhausted when that thing ends, and then we get to move on.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, you got to play another one. In the final 7-20, they outscored you 16-13. That includes the Ben Pierce 3 and the 2 free throws to ice the game at the end. They were 5 of 11. You guys were 3 of 12. So they were coming back on you. That play for Ben Pierce, I found it interesting. He initially gets the ball and goes to his right at the top of the key around a screen, but he's got some distance. And Diego has the screen cleared by a country mile. He came back and did a better job of rubbing Diego off on that screen. Was that by design to do it twice, or was it just Ben understanding he didn't get the separation he needs and he's got to try it one more time?
Yeah, I mean, we always we kind of play in flow. So, if he doesn't get it the first time, we can get him the second time, or he can go the other way. I honestly didn't know if he was going to shoot it. We won the Roanoke game because he went downhill and everybody helped and he kicked it out and Ethan made a 3. So I didn't know, and I think the kid did an outstanding job of guarding it. I mean, if you watch it, the kid got through it. The big was a little bit back, but the kid blew up the screen again the second time, and Ben just made a shot, and it's Marcus, we're not going to set any ball screens for Ben next week, so don't worry about that.
No. I wouldn't expect that to happen.
Yeah, things I'd like to say are BS for 100, Alex. I thought Diego played it. I mean, he hopped it right away, jumped on it the first time, and the second time, you're right, he was actually kind of in Ben's pocket, but the screen was just good enough to keep him from getting to that shot, and Pierce obviously nails probably one of the biggest shots of his career. And then the next day, you're going up against another beast in Christopher Newport, who darn well. They throw everything at you, and I'll admit, Jason, that first half, Christopher Newport looked like they were ready to surprise another team and punch another ticket. They were playing extremely well. What was the talk at halftime all about?
A lot like Marcus just said, we were down 9 at the 3. I think it was like 3:42 as the media. And I just told the guys in the huddle, hey, let's get this sucker to like 4. If we can just get this thing to 4, 3, 4, 5 going into half. And then I think we went from 9 to 3. I think we had it at 3 at half. I can't remember exact, but that last 3:40 was a big deal going into halftime with some momentum. Again, at halftime, when you get to this stage of the year, I think you quit screaming so much, right? You kind of like, hey guys, like this is kind of what we got to do, and if we're going to do it, great, we have a shot, and if we don't, we're going to lose. And when you have players like Marcus does, like we do, like John and John does, and Coach Koshko do, I mean, you kind of you trust them, like they've got you here, you trust them, and they know what's good, they know what's bad, they know we weren't playing great, they know why, and so we just kind of reminded them, hey, this is what we do. If we're going to get basketball energy back in our team, then we got to cut a little harder, got to run a little harder, got to defend a little bit better, and be more connected. And they did it in the second half. And it's why it's a 40-minute game. I think I say it a lot. The most insignificant score in basketball is halftime score. Like you're up at halftime, you're down at halftime. Like it's if they didn't have halftime and just kept playing, nobody would talk about it.
Jason, it's significant as us media. We need storylines. Darn it! Come on. No, I understand that point. Marcus, going back to the win over Trinity, obviously the defending national champs, the number 1 team. They absolutely manhandled Hood. They didn't do too shabby in the quarterfinals either, right? In a slugfest against Tufts. You all closed on a 10-0 run in the final 340. You were on a 12-2 run in the last 409, forced 3 turnovers in that amount of time, and they were 0 for 6. Quickly, before I talk about the final shot, just what you all did to basically turn the cards on Trinity.
Yeah, I think we stuck to what got us there. It starts on the defensive side of the ball for us, where again we really needed to force them to shoot some contested shots and rebound the ball. I mean, watching them play the night before and how hard they aggressively they rebound go after offensive rebounds. It was important to us. We limited them to one. I feel in most games this year, if you look back, like I thought we did a good job this year, really dictating first shot, and where we come up short sometimes is then giving up that offensive rebound. And so I thought we did a really good job. We changed a few things defensively to try to get the ball out of some guys' hands, and we created turnover, got a couple deflections, got into the shot clock a little bit for them. And then on the other end, we just, again, what we kept saying on that, I'm very confident in us offensively. I think we've got some really good players that could score the ball. So majority of the conversation was that on the defense and rebounding. However, it was also got to be a willing passer. The way that they were defending us, we made one or two minor adjustments with some guys, but it was more of, attack for a teammate. And I thought we assisted well down the stretch there, stopped doing so much one-on-one. And once we started doing that, our guys could see things happen. And I think over even the course of this tournament, if you go back over the games, the Amherst game, right, it's a basket for basket first half. And then the second half, we felt it, saw it. And I think our team, once we kind of see how it's going, I think we become pretty good. So.
Well, and then the final shot is hit by Bates, who I think coming into the game was something like 4 of 15 from beyond the arc. I'm trying to remember the stat I was given on the broadcast, and clearly they defended it like he wasn't going to be a threat, and lo and behold, Robinson finds him wide open in the corner, and man, he drilled that like it was a free throw.
Yeah, he had maybe two possessions before that. Same thing, it just kind of rimmed out.
Yep.
So we knew it was there. We knew it would be. He was open. I have all the confidence in the world in Caden. That's why he was on the floor in those moments. He's been a good defender, gets a lot of accolades defensively, but they're, again, over the course of 30 games or whatever we've had, 32 games I guess we've played now. He's had some big moments offensively for us, probably none bigger than that. Certainly that's the basket that he scored this year that everybody's going to talk about. I couldn't be more happy for him. What a great opportunity for a good young man like Caden to make a big shot like that.
Gentlemen, I don't know if you got the memo, but you have to go back to Indiana for a national title game, and the two of you have to face each other to do it. One of you's coming out with your first ever national championship. Again, I don't know if you've gotten all these memos since you won your last game. Season ain't over. First off, my main question to both of you, this is very important, because I was a little disappointed to find out something with the St. Thomas team. Will Hoosiers be a mandatory viewing as part of game film preparation for this game? Marcus, we'll start with you.
I'm sure it's going to show up at some point in the weekend when we're out there, everybody's iPad on the flight out, or maybe one night in the hotel.
Jason, is this mandatory for your team?
It's not mandatory viewing. I just recite it for them.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Hey, that's even better. I like that version too. Obviously, there's a lot. In a week's time, you're flying out there. I'm hoping, Jason, I'm going to quickly start with you. I came back from the trip, arrived at BWI Airport, and apparently, thank God I was on arrival, because my flight out, there was 0 issues with TSA. It has now become a quagmire there. And I thought about you guys. So my question is, I hope they're not flying you on commercial, because, Jason, you all almost didn't even make it out there.
Yeah, we're flying commercial. We're working on it right now. I do want to shout out to a couple people here, and they've probably never been shout out on basketball podcasts.
Sir, the court is yours.
Cheryl Mont and Kenneth Walker from the TSA in Atlanta were sent from above, because they're the only reason, and then their boss, Tony Barnett, they're the only reason we got on the plane last week. And so we're working on it. We're hopefully everything gets taken care of by next Thursday. So, but we're working on it. We'll be there one way or the other. We're going to get there. So we're excited about it. And looking forward to getting there.
Jason's hiding the fact that they almost didn't get through TSA to get on their flight. There had to be some glad handing and some slaps on the back and some coach speak, as it were. I suggest if you're getting to the airport Thursday, show up, or you're flying Thursday, show up Tuesday. I'm not even going to the fact that you all should be flying on charter like everybody else in D1 is, and I mean that dead seriously. Marcus, how's the travel plans coming together?
Yeah, we're finalizing those now as well. And listen, I hope that the TSA situation in Atlanta gets worse as we get closer to next Thursday. No, I can't. I think we're trying to go out of Richmond for that reason. Hopefully, a smaller airport will be a little bit easier to navigate as opposed to going up to DC to try to avoid some of that. Take the
Fair.
Try to get the earliest flight possible, hoping that helps. Certainly. On our mind to make it the travel as smooth as possible. I thought this last week went very smooth as it could for us. We came in to Indianapolis and drove up, and then we drove up to Detroit to fly home. But it worked out. So keep our fingers crossed heading into next week.
Just the reactions on campus. Obviously, Marcus, you're on a small campus. You're on this tight-knit group. Jason, you're kind of on a big campus, right? In the big old city. I'm curious what the reactions have been like on your respective campuses, starting with Marcus.
Yeah, it's been very exciting. And I would say on campus, there's definitely a buzz. I think being able to host those first 2 weekends really helped with that, giving everybody a first up close look at what the NCAA tournament's like for Division III, being able to host it. We had great crowds. The Anderson Center was packed for all of our games, which got people excited about it. So then when we went to Fort Wayne, there were watch parties. People were checking it out and following us. So coming back now, there's a ton of excitement. I haven't been able to get up from my desk too much to walk out into campus to see people, but the emails of support, what our guys are saying coming back from classes, that there's a lot of excitement, and in just city of Fredericksburg as well, that everyone is very supportive of what we're doing, and it's a good feeling.
Jason, it's got to feel a little different. I mean, you're in one of the bigger cities in America. It can get easily lost with everything else. I'm curious what it's like on your campus.
No, I think it ties everybody together on campus, right? So everybody's got a story about where they watched the game or how they heard about the game, or they come into the office and say, "Hey, we were watching it with 4 people. We watched with 8 people. Hey, we had a watch party on campus. 250 people were at the watch party on campus last week." And then, I just was in a meeting with faculty before we jumped on here, and they're talking about people retweeting and posting and all that stuff they do now that I don't really see a whole lot of, I don't do at all. I see it, but I don't do it. But yeah, it's great. And I think that connection, here at Emory, we've had multiple national championships. Like our swim programs won like 10 in a row, right? Or they did, and they had a stretch where they won 10 in a row. And then we've had, national champion volleyball teams and golf teams. And so it was nice for me to at least get to play in a national championship, and the basketball program to be talked in that. And part of the reason why I came to Emory was that excellence in athletics, not just basketball, but from our athletic program. And we're excited to be part of that. We're excited to carry the torch a little bit. And but to watch the alums, I think on campus is awesome. And to see people get involved, and but to watch our alums, I've been here 19 years, and to watch our alums and the guys, I think I talked about this a little in the press conference, the guys who played in the 90s, guy who started the program, to hear those guys comment I never thought we'd see Emory basketball on ESPN, right? So it's pretty special to me. And as sure as with Coach, just watching those people, sport, basketball, but sport is what ties people together, right? And that's what it does. Brings people together. And I think the world needs more teams, just in general. Society needs more teams, right? To band people together, play for each other. Coach was just saying it, help a teammate, attack for a teammate. And that's, if you can get that in the society as a whole, we'd have a lot better society, right?
Couldn't disagree with you. I disagree. What the hell? Couldn't agree with you more, nor could I disagree with you, is what I was trying to say. I'm fine. Coffee, please. Gentlemen, I could talk to you forever about this game. I know you're not going to give me the X's and O's, and I'm very disappointed in that. I wanted you two to tell each other how you're going to play and then try and beat each other that way. But I know it's not going to happen. But I appreciate the time and the insight on what was a really remarkable weekend of basketball, and I look forward to hearing all the stories about how Indianapolis plays out for each of you and your teams and your players. Congratulations. This is absolutely awesome. I'm a little frustrated with you that I'm not going to be able to say Eagles on the broadcast because no one's going to know who I'm talking about. But in the meantime, I look forward to seeing you both there. But with that said, I'm going to let you go with the final word. Any final thoughts you two would like to have? Marcus, we'll start with you.
I just thank everybody, you and everybody there at D3 Hoops for all that you did this last weekend. And I know you're going to be working hard when you get back out to Indianapolis, and just appreciate, you guys being able to put us on the stage that we've been on, and the opportunities we have moving forward. The longer I do this, the more appreciative I become of all that D3 basketball brings to the table and all the opportunities it's given me and my team. And I'm excited to get to Indianapolis.
Jason.
Yeah, we always say thanks, and we continue to do that. We don't take it for granted what you guys do for D3 basketball, and I just want to say congratulations to Marcus and his team too. Like, I've gotten to know him in the last 4 years, 3 or 4 years. He played here. We played in the tournament last year, and like you said, I just really enjoy the getting to know coaches and competing. And it's kind of a big one coming up, but I'm looking forward to competing against Marcus and seeing him in Indy, and then seeing if we can go at it. And he's got a great team, and we look forward to competing against him and being up there in Indy soon, for sure.
Well, I'm looking forward to it because I think it's going to be an awesome game at Gamebridge, to say the least. Quick note to both of you: we're about to announce the men's All-America team. I suggest maybe tuning in. Just a thought. We might hear about some Eagles on that team. Just keep in mind. Gentlemen, congratulations.
What Eagles are you talking about? His or ours?
If you don't think, hold on, Jason. If you don't think you have anybody on this team, you are insane. Guys, safe travels. Thank you for the time. Look forward to seeing you in Indy, and enjoy the trip.
Thank you.
Marcus Scott, Jason Zimmerman. Join us on the Hoopsville Hotline. Great to chat with them, as always. We mentioned that All-America team when we come back. Pat Coleman, Ryan Scott join us to talk about Fort Wayne, and we announce the All-America team for D3Hoops.com on the men's side. We'll also recap the women's side a little bit later and talk about their top 25. You listen to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com from the WBCA studios. We got some good stuff ahead, so stick with us.
Coach of the Year, Administrator of the Year, All-America team, Wade Trophy. The WBCA doesn't just honor coaches, but players, administrators, and much more. The WBCA strives to honor those who have contributed to the advancement of women's basketball. Celebrate the present, honor the past, look to the future.
For the love of the game. But for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that, a lot more.
Sure, the game is important, but as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics, and in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
You can make a difference.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, then I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
The National Association of Basketball Coaches is the nation's premier professional development and advocacy organization for basketball coaches at every level. The NABC strives to serve as the voice for coaches on national issues while advancing the core value of leadership, service, advocacy, education, and inclusion. To learn more about the NABC and to become a member, visit nabc.com and follow the NABC on social media at NABC1927. That's nabc.com or NABC1927 on social media.
I believe sportsmanship is a mutual admiration and respect for your fellow competitors. We all go through a lot to reach the point where we compete against one another. It's important to realize that. So once we're finally on the field or on the court or on the starting block, we look at each other as fellow human beings and not just competitors. Being able to recognize the hard work that other athletes are putting in creates a more positive and inclusive environment.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.
Of the year, All-America team.
Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. Hope you are enjoying the show. Great conversation so far with the Denison women's basketball team, and then, of course, the 2 head coaches of the men's programs fighting it out for a championship coming up. And if you haven't seen, we do have our Hoopsville mascot sitting down here. He's sound asleep on his beanbag. He's just getting to enjoy the show like you all are. We've gone through the tote board. Next up's All-Americans. We'll talk about those in just a moment. Pat Coleman and Ryan Scott will join us to announce the men's All-America team, but also we'll get their thoughts on, well, Denison winning a title, but Fort Wayne, where we all 3 of us were as well. If you got questions for us, tweet us at D3Hoopsville, hashtag Hoopsville, or email us hoopsville at D3sports.com. Join us on our live stream on YouTube. You can chat in there as well. And if you are watching us on the archive, those are the easy way to get a hold of us too. And of course, I've already stated quite often, I need some more coffee today. Well, buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville. Donate or become a Hoopsville member, where the Off Court podcast will be pretty popular, I promise you, this offseason. All right, let's talk quickly about how Fort Wayne wrapped things up, along with other things, and we'll get to the All-America list. Now joining us on the Hoopsville hotline, it is Pat Coleman and Ryan Scott from D3Hoops.com. Gentlemen, I'll have to admit, I said this at the beginning of the show. This might have been one of those rare weekends where we didn't get a ton of time to kind of digest everything because so much was going on the weekend and games were late. Pat, I kind of got home and went, I didn't even really talk to everybody about those games.
No, agreed, right? I mean, we were there for, 14 hours on Thursday, something like that, between arriving early for that first game and then leaving really late after that fourth game. But, you go back and remember, yes, for example, St. Thomas, Texas was there in the Elite Eight. Sometimes the first team that gets eliminated in a big event like this, I always liken it to the team that loses that first division series in MLB. Someone who loses gets swept 3-0. Do you remember when the Marlins were in these playoffs or whatever? Anyway, it is it's just like a wall of basketball. Imagine that if we had done the same thing in Las Vegas and sat down and said, hey, remember what happened in that first game of these 5 games today? No, not necessarily. It's good to have, box scores and game stories and recollections and chats like this right now.
Yeah, admittedly, we got to the end of, I think, the 4th game or midway through the 4th game on Thursday, and I was like, wait, how did the first game happen again? Like, just not quite full. Ryan, you were enjoying every bit of it. What your thoughts on just the weekend in general?
Yeah, I think we've gotten used to, with this off day, having some leisure time out there, right? I realized this trip I wasted some space in my luggage bringing some workout gear that I just didn't have time to use. It's when it was 2 games in one, that was a lot of downtime, a lot of time to talk, a lot of time to get some things done. And it was just so relentlessly busy. I mean, I think I went to bed at 3:00 one night and 2:00 the next morning. It was a long, really great trip, right? We had lots of good conversations, but it did feel fast. So I'm kind of glad we don't do this every year, but it's fun once in a while to get those 8 teams in the same place.
I agree. I don't understand how D2 does it, but then again, I don't think they have the same kind of media quality for their broadcast. And I don't mean that as a knock. I just mean, I don't think there's that element to even consider. And yeah, I'm glad these are one-offs. I'm not necessarily I don't think we necessarily need it all in all the time, back and forth. Pat, Emory and Mary Washington playing for the title. I don't know what anybody would have expected. I think maybe Emory, maybe Trinity, but to be honest with you, we had 8 really good teams there, and they played it.
Yeah, I mean, we were a couple of shots short of getting number 1 versus number 2 in the national championship game, right? And you could there are more often, it seems, number 1 versus number 2 in women's basketball in Division III. We haven't had a ton of those in men's basketball, especially not in the past handful of years. We were that close to seeing that happen. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I get asked multiple times, and I suspect you probably do too. And I know, especially because you are on the air with ESPN, you are definitely not predicting who's going to win a game. But I didn't want to be in those conversations with people either, frankly. I was like, I, first of all, need to maintain my neutrality. Secondly, I don't know what I would tell you if you had put me on the spot. Other than, I think felt pretty good about what Emory was able to put together over the course of this season and over the course of this playoffs. Mary Washington, I mean, shoot, why not, right? Those guys have done so much. They've won 35 out of their last 41 games, if you want to think of it that way, going back to that spot where they were, 7-11 or 8-12 midway through last season. So, sure, why not expect that run to continue? Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I didn't want to give answers, but also for the same reason. But I do remember people coming up going, so it's going to be Emory Trinity, right? And I'm like, I don't think you just write off Mary Washington. This was obviously going into Saturday's game. Emory, I mean, who knows what was going to happen to there, but I didn't think anything was written in stone, Ryan. I thought we had some really good even matchups, and maybe the tournament committee putting it together that way helped us. I don't know, but I think parity also helped too, but we had really good games.
Yeah, I mean, this is the difference between, right, trying to evaluate like an overall strength of a team versus who's going to win an individual game, right? Like, I think if you played both of these games 100 times, you might be more likely to get Emory and Trinity, but that doesn't mean Christopher Newport and Mary Washington aren't really, really good, right? They might win, 45 or 49 of those things, like these are good teams playing in a big environment, and you see things you just don't expect, right? Mary Washington executed at the end of the game a little bit better than Trinity did. And this is the result we got. It's certainly deserving, right? These are really incredible, really deep, really experienced, really strong teams. It's not like there's any surprises or anything here.
No, and St. Thomas, Illinois Wesleyan, Chicago, and Tufts were certainly deserving. By the way, it just dawned on me, Ryan and I had a little bit of time to digest as we were walking back to the hotel at about 2 a.m. That's about the only time I really had any chance to kind of offload any of those games. Quickly on the women's, I'm not obviously going to predict anything for Indianapolis. Sorry, I was thinking Atlanta because 2013 and Emory, it's throwing me a little off.
Yeah.
But we'll obviously be talking a lot more about that in the next week and a half on social media and other ways. But let me pivot to the women's side. Denison pulling off the title, Pat. I've been trying to make the analogy. I don't know how this works, but Goliath got beaten by a bit of a Goliath, and then David beat the Goliath who beat the Goliath. Like, this was maybe more of the more unexpected women's champions, but they certainly were deserving. It's not like they weren't a good team the whole season.
Dave, as always, I'm either going to fall back on a baseball or a football metaphor, right, on this show. Yeah. So I'm going to take you back to 1999 Division III football, in which Rowan University went to Mount Union, beat Mount Union in overtime in the national semifinals, snapped Mount Union's 50-some game winning streak, something like that. And then this little Pacific Lutheran team comes along in the Stag Bowl who, is this plucky, happy-go-lucky bunch that nobody's really given much thought to until the previous couple of weeks. And they come in and they kind of blow the doors off of Rowan, right? Those are your two Goliaths, right? Your Beast of the East and your Goliath, so to speak. I don't know which one is NYU and which one is Scranton in this scenario, but I think pretty similar, right? And I'm not going to try to say anything else about Denison because Ryan has been on Denison for weeks and weeks and weeks and months, and I should defer any commentary praising Denison to the guy who knew this was going to happen.
Ryan.
Yeah. So I've been on Denison for a while. I've thought they've looked good all year. It really is, and we saw this in the final. The combination of the size and the speed. Often, if you get a 6'3" post player in Division III, they're a statue, right? They can't move. That's not the case with Denison. They throw out 3 really big post players that can move really well. And you saw that Scranton was just not ready for it. I kind of thought Scranton would have a little bit more of a game plan to adjust to that than they did. But even coming in the last regular season poll that we did, I was debating whether to put Denison above NYU for number 2. I mean, I liked them that well. They were playing that well. And once we saw the semifinals and what Denison did to Oshkosh, I was like, this is dangerous, right? I think the way that Denison beat Scranton was really surprising. The fact that they did by the time we got to game time, not at all. And I'll be the one to say, I know the David Goliath thing, especially from the beginning of the year when nobody saw this coming, is a fun metaphor for us. But I think they deserve at least what they earned by the end of the year, a little more respect than that they were right up there with the other 3 in terms of what they were bringing into this weekend.
No, certainly. Yeah, I mean, the analogy's certainly not great. I think it was more surprising that you see they knock off an undefeated W&L, then Scranton knocks off the 91-game winning streak in NYU, and everyone's looking there, right? And so, oh my gosh, look at Scranton. It's going to be Scranton. It's going to be – wait, what? Yeah, the other team that knocked off the undefeated just beat off the other undefeated twice in 3 games. And yeah, I mean, it was kind of along those lines for me. And what a great story. Bring back a chunk. I mean, the entire starting 5 returns for next year. And obviously there'll be a big target on their back, but what an accomplishment for them.
That conference was so good this year too. It was actually kind of great to see. First of all, the 3 great teams out of that conference, right? Ohio Wesleyan, Denison, and John Carroll, and then of course DePauw, historically good. They pull off the upset in the conference tournament. You get 4 teams from that conference in the playoffs. I think it's a testament to just how good the NCAC has been in women's basketball all year. And this is kind of an up and coming conference in a lot of sports, and in a lot of sports they had already upped and came, and now they're going to get even better.
I know Titans got to the Final Four, but there were a lot of people talking about how great WIAC was this year. And yes, it was competitive, but I don't think it was as good as the NCAC was in terms of top-tier teams, and I think that proved out in the tournament. Again, I understand Oshkosh got to the semifinals. That's one team, and I know Denison is one team, but if you look at the rest of the tournament, I think the NCAC proved that they were darn good this year. And by the way, quick note to Brad Fisher and all them, certainly horrible timing it seems, but with illnesses and off, but I don't think that changed the outcome. I think Denison still wins that game. And quick note, Ryan and I were having this fun back and forth about NYU Scranton. I wasn't ready to sign off on NYU losing in that game, for the record, mainly because I didn't want to lose the storyline, which is why the show's story is called Unscripted today. But I absolutely, watching Scranton play, knew that was not going to be a given. And the fact that they knocked off a 91-game winning streak, held NYU to 5 points, I think the more surprising thing was how much Denison then dominated them 2 days later. I think that's what surprised me more. All right, so there's the women's side. Don't need to keep going into it because we got to get to other business. That is the D3Hoops.com All-America team on the men's side. On the other, we'll talk about the women's, which has already been released. We'll also talk about the top 25 when we wrap up this segment. But we're going to actually release, for the first time, the actual All-America team. I know we did this in 2013. We may have done it in 2020, but my memory of 2020 is foggy.
Yep, we did.
Okay, great. I knew I had lots of time.
Out when I can, but
yeah, I remember I had lots of time to do it, so I'm sure we did. So Pat and Ryan are going to mainly do this. I'm going to do the production side of things. Like, that's how we do things when we get to the big stuff. And we'll start on the 5th team. But before we get there, Pat, Ryan, anything you want to just say in general about the All-America team before we start releasing them?
Well, I think it's just a reminder to people that this starts with the nomination process for all region that comes from the sports information directors. All in all, between men's and women's basketball, there were about 800 players nominated. We go through so many extra checks and balances and reminders to schools to make sure that they get their nominations in and that they have all their stats in so that they can be eligible and that sort of thing. And then from that, technically anyone who is nominated for all region could be named All-American. But in reality, it's very difficult to make the All-America team if you're not already a first or second team all-region honoree. And I think Ryan can speak a little more to that and the rest of the process as well.
Yeah, I mean, one thing to remember this is it's 25 players out of 408, 410, whatever we're at schools right now. And every year, I start compiling, a super long list of 100 names or 150 names pretty early on so that we can make sure we try to see everybody and we get them evaluated and all that kind of stuff. And, where I think like the cut line is going to be, right, or where our discussions are going to be, always ends up being like higher up, right? There's guys who show up at the end of the year and perform really well and make a statement. And what we need to say is, yes, there are more than 25 players that are at a level that can be called All-Americans, but we only have 25 slots. So when we talk about this, we can say, hey, this other guy needs more attention, and that is wonderful. We do our best to try and pick the 25 best, but there are such fine differences between them that, yeah, you can think we're wrong, and that's great, but this is the ones that we've come up with after a lot of work and a lot of input from a lot of people. So let's do it.
I completely agree. Gentlemen, appreciate it. Let's start with the 5th team. Are you guys buckle in, ready to go? All right. Graphic going up. 5th team All-America for D3Hoops.com on the men's side.
Right, and there you see it. This is one of the things that's important about our team is it's 5 guys. And generally, as much as we can, it's 5 guys who can all take the floor at the same time. This is something that has been part of our ethos for our weekly honors and our postseason honors since day one, since we started this thing in November of, 1997. All right, so I'm gonna name some names here. I'm gonna read them off. Ryan, maybe you'll tell us a little bit about each of these guys. We're talking about Kareem Welch, the senior guard out of SUNY Plattsburgh. We're talking about a guy who played his way onto this All-America team, Mason Funk, guard from Illinois Wesleyan. Another guard, Hudson Johnson of the University of Mary Hardin-Baylor. Another guard, a lot of 4-guard lineups in Division III and in basketball in general these days, and this is one of them, Soren Richardson of Wheaton, Illinois. And then our big on this list is Matthew Solomon, a forward out of the College of New Jersey, or TCNJ.
Yeah, so we've got, just to go back down, Matt Solomon is like a triple-double machine, somebody who plays all facets of the floor, but is also a really good postman, a big. We saw at the end of the NJAC championship that got TCNJ into the tournament, where he made a big dunk and then a block to kind of save the thing. Been doing that, for 4 years there. Really solid guy. Soren Richardson, we could throw in here because he's a really big guard, right? Good shooter. That team, everybody comes back next year at Wheaton, is going to be really solid, and Soren will be leading the way. Like you mentioned, Mason Funk really played his way onto this team in February and March. 36 points in Fort Wayne in that big game. He's coming back as well. Going to be awesome. Hudson Johnson, maybe a deceptive guy. I wonder on the scout. He's kind of slight and maybe not the tallest guy in the world, but a great shooter. And beyond that, a really good playmaker we've seen throughout the year. And I think he's gotten better as the year's gone along as well. And finally, Reem Welch, just a great scorer. And in a league with a lot of really strong individual talents, he was by far and away the coach's pick there for the player of the year in the SUNYAC. They had a lot of injuries at Plattsburgh, and so he was getting double and triple teamed and continuing to put up big numbers. We saw in the All-Star game, a great passer, and really good court vision there as well.
26.1 points, 8.2 rebounds, and 4.2 assists a game for Reem Welch. Why don't we flip roles, Ryan? Why don't you name guys, and I've got stats in front of me. How about we do that?
All right. So for the fourth team, All-American, we have Javon Yarbrough, guard from Hood. We've also got Miles Barnett, a fellow junior out of Gustavus Adolphus. Jacob Morales, the senior, two-time NJAC Player of the Year from Montclair State. Marcus Montanino, graduate student from Endicott. And Jacob Cook, the big man from Concordia Moorhead. Saw a few of these guys in the All-Star game this week.
We sure did. And of course, we couldn't see the juniors, Yarbrough and Barnett. Juniors are not eligible to partake in the All-Star game. A great season for Yarbrough, especially start with him. 26 points, 6.2 rebounds, 6.5 assists, one of the top couple of assist guys on our All-American team, and a guy who could do any of those at the drop of a hat all year. Miles Barnett is a guy who was the defensive MVP in the MIAC, the Minnesota Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, and then had, the offensive game of his life in a very important time in the round of 16 at the University of Chicago, nearly willed his team all the way into the round of 8. He ended with 19.7 points a game. Jacob Morales out of Montclair State, listed as a forward, but kind of a smaller forward. Don't think of him as a swing. And is a guy who averaged 19 points and 6 rebounds a game. Marcus Montanino, we've talked about a lot on the show. We've all talked to him and his history as a club player at Xavier, and then coming and playing 2 years in Division III and just lights out this year. 22 points, 8.1 rebounds, 4.6 assists. One of the big 2 reasons why Endicott was able to get to the round of 16 and almost get all the way past Illinois Wesleyan. And then Jacob Cook was the offensive MVP of the MIAC. The MIAC, could you name just one MVP for us? That would be great. Maybe keep your All-America or your All-Conference team under 18 players. That would be awesome. But, we put both of the offensive and the defensive MVPs out of that conference onto this same All-America team. It worked out that way. We didn't have to try to break that tie because they didn't want to try to break that tie for us.
Yeah, and I want to shout out Jacob Morales and Marcus Montanino. We were on the same flight out of Fort Wayne that got delayed because, believe it or not, the previous pilot left the lights on and wore the battery down. I had to wait 5 hours for my flight, and both of those guys were still sitting there pacing around the Detroit airport before getting to go home. So it was a long travel day on the way back from Fort Wayne for us.
At least, you talk about big guys like that, they're not sitting in airplane seats waiting to go. That would be pretty terrible for all involved.
Yeah, we only had 2 hours of that before we got on the plane. So moving over to our third team, we have point guard from MSOE, Mason Dopirak. I think we got that right. We had to go through the pronunciation a couple times there. We got some familiar faces, both from Trinity. We've got Henry Vetter and Jarrell Okarago that we've seen at the Final Four 3 years in a row now. At the Final Four for the first time this year, Scott Giamessi, also from the NESCAC, the Player of the Year in that conference. And finally, Logan Landers, the big guy from Concordia, Wisconsin. Kind of an unsung guy, but a huge double-double most every game all year long, and a really great post player.
Yeah, and so similarly, how many NESCAC players can we get onto one team? That's what we've got here on this list, right? Okarago, who is difficult for some people to pronounce, and Henry Vetter. These guys, their scoring numbers are not as high as everybody else's. We understand this because we know, how Trinity plays, right? You've got those 10 guys who were on the floor in every game, sharing minutes per game. For example, Okarago 26 minutes a game, and I have to squint to see Henry Vetter also 26 minutes a game. So we take those things into account. If you are just someone who sorts by points per game, and I know there are people who do that, this is not the best way to put together an All-American team. Giamessi, I would have loved to see him in the round of 8 at full health, 15.5 points a game and 9.1 rebounds. Dopirak, 26 points a game, 43% from beyond the arc, and I always love a guy who shoots free throws well, 90% from the line on the season. And then, Ryan, you were on Logan Landers for a long time. You should tell the folks about Logan Landers, who might be the most unsung guy on this All-America team, top to bottom.
Yeah, so he transferred. He played 2 years at Concordia. He was a D1 guy, tried a couple of places before finding his real home at Division III. I mean, he's 6'9" and a true post. Obviously, he was at Division I for a reason, but just put up some massive numbers all the way through. I think would have been a shoe-in player of the year typically in the NACC, but he's in the same conference as Dopirak, who's a two-time winner of that award there. One of the things we look at when maybe it's a smaller conference or somebody who might not have the same post players that they're up against, Landers played a bunch of WIAC teams and had better numbers almost than he did some of the conference opponents in those games. And so obviously against the best competition, really, really good. And of course, eye test, you watch him play. It's very clear that this is a guy nobody wants to face and everyone wants on their team.
That's your third team.
Moving on to the second team. This is where it gets really exciting here. We got a whole bunch of fantastic guards on this team. We have Sam Grieger from Wisconsin Lacrosse. We've got Zevi Samet from Yeshiva. We have Kai Robinson, who is still playing in the national championship game for Mary Washington, and also Jair Knight, who he'll go up against from Emory. And the final post guy, we have Lucas Gordon from Redlands, who's been a post guy, although he's developed quite an all-around game this year. Just a massive guy and a big athlete, somebody everybody was sort of drooling over in the All-Star game, and someone with kind of a long pro career in front of him, we think.
Yeah, what a group here, right? And there are some decisions we had to make here. Some decisions were informed by how teams played in the round of 8. In some cases, I think if you are thinking, why is not Kai Robinson on the first team? Like, wait till you see the guards on the first team, right? We're not putting 10 guys on there or 8 guys on there like the NABC used to do. We're not putting 6 guys or 18 guys on the first team like your all-conference team is. Whew, we had to make some decisions here. But just run down, these guys. Lucas Gordon, again, you might look at that guy's numbers and think at 14.3 points and 9 rebounds and 1.1 blocks a game, why is this guy a second-team All-American? It's because he does all of that in 23 minutes a game. Redlands, under Eric Bridgeland, runs a bunch of guys in and out of there. If you saw Lucas Gordon play, and we saw Lucas Gordon play lots of times, including at our tournament out in Las Vegas, and, just for kicks and giggles, also in the All-Star game, that guy is a beast. Similarly, Zevi Samet, 23.8 points a game. Grieger, 25.7 a game. Jair Knight, 18.8 points, 6.4 rebounds. Robinson, 24.3 points, 6.8 rebounds, 81% from the line, 50% from the floor. This is a really good All-America team right here, and that's just the second team. There's one more to come.
Yeah, this is one of those years. It feels like all of these guys are first teamers, but we have 5 more guys that we had to make some decisions about. So we have your first team All-Americans. We have the point guard from Emory, Ben Pierce, who had just an incredible weekend guiding his team through that. We're doing a second point guard on this team because we just had to put Luke Chacon up here. The long career at John Carroll. He was not able to be at the All-Star game. Was really interesting because he's already coaching an AAU team and they had a tournament that he had to be at. He comes from a long line of coaches there, and I'm sure that'll be part of his future. Shane Regan from Chicago, formerly a Wesleyan. He's a grad transfer to Chicago and just had one of the great seasons leading that team as far as they got. We have, I guess, no surprise, who's going to be our rookie of the year for this year, Noah Cleveland. He is a sophomore, but he did not play college basketball last year. Joined the Illinois Wesleyan team this year and just dominated out of the post. We got to see him in Fort Wayne as well. And then finally, Jalen Overway, a guy that we are familiar with. He has been an All-American pretty much all the way through his career. He'll be graduating from Calvin this year. He's got another year of eligibility and looking to kind of go up a level after he has his diploma.
Yeah, and you look at these guys, man. I'm going to talk first about a couple of guys whose teams might have had better years in the past. Luke Chacon is a guy who got a lot of notoriety a couple of years ago when John Carroll had a little bit more around him. This is a guy who still nonetheless had the best year of his career this year, so do not overlook his 23.7 points a game, his 6.4 assists, one of the top assist guys on this All-America team, and his 4.6 rebounds. He shot 54% from the floor. This guy had the best year of his career. So did Jalen Overway. He was 23.1 points, 10.7 rebounds. He comes back from that horrific injury that was suffered in the round of 8 back in 2024. He missed all of the 24-25 season. Came back this year. He shot 62% from the floor, 71% from the foul line. I'd be interested to see what he does with that extra year of eligibility that Ryan was talking about. Shane Regan, right, is a guy who is an All-American previously, playing for a different team, playing for Wesleyan out of Connecticut now for the University of Chicago. 19.5 points, 5.3 assists a game. Noah Cleveland, as was mentioned, is a sophomore but has not played college basketball. He does qualify as our Rookie of the Year. And spoilers, yes, also the D3Hoops.com Rookie of the Year. He shot 60% from the floor, 18.8 points, 11.3 rebounds. Honestly, I would love to have seen him be a better free throw shooter, but there was no way he was not one of the 2 best bigs in Division III, and he is definitely on this team. And then the guy who led this whole team in assists, and also scored 24 points a game, and cemented it with a 3-point shot to win the game against Illinois Wesleyan in the round of 8 with 1.4 seconds left. Ben Pierce, 24 points, 7 assists, 4.1 rebounds, a guard who shot 45% from the floor and 86% from the line. And so we've mentioned then, Ryan and Dave, one of our 2 season-ending awards indeed goes to Illinois Wesleyan forward Noah Cleveland. He is the D3Hoops.com Rookie of the Year. And Ryan, we are also prepared at this moment to tell you who the D3Hoops.com Player of the Year is as well.
We are giving that award to Ben Pierce from Emory. And we just saw on Twitter today, hopefully his brother will find out. His brother delayed heart surgery so that he could be at Fort Wayne this last weekend and be recovered for Indianapolis. So we'll shout out to Max. Hopefully that went well and good recovery. And you can celebrate with Ben when you wake up.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say more about what Ben Pierce has done so far this year, and still has the opportunity to do again. Sometimes, Ryan and Dave, as you know, we will hold out those top awards, especially Player of the Year, especially Coach of the Year, for after the national championship game. But we always announce these full All-America teams after the semifinals and before the championship. It's just that this time we had a 2-week span with which to do it. So thank you for giving us 30-plus minutes on Hoopsville to have this conversation. It's way better than rushing it into an audio pregame of a national championship game, Dave, is it not?
I like it better. A little bit more dressed up. Thank you for doing all the graphical work since I was tied up either in traffic or at a ballpark most of yesterday. But no, I love doing this, and I do have ideas for the future that throw a monkey wrench in everything. But, that's just me. No, great teams and great players. And I would agree. I mean, you could make an argument for Robinson, but okay, who are you going to replace him with, right? Like, it is so tough with some of these guys where you would move them to a different spot. Zevi Samet, by the way, 45 points in his career finale against Emory.
I mean, imagine how many points he ended up with in his career, right? The number 13 was it score all time in the 5 decades of Division III history now.
Well, his agent's with us, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, he finished 13th overall. I think, there's probably 6 or 8 guys we talked about coming into this last weekend that could really make a case for Player of the Year. We talked about Chacon and Overway, who, really unfortunate injuries. I think both of their teams were a lot better last year and would have been real contenders without them. But like both of those guys getting double and triple teamed in a lot of games this year, Ben Pierce, Reagan, I think even Noah Cleveland, right? If that Illinois Wesleyan Emory game turns out differently, we might be talking about Cleveland as both a rookie and Player of the Year. He's had that kind of season. And again, even some of those guys on the second team, right? That could make a case for it. And I don't remember a year in which we've gone this deep with guys coming into the final weekend, really, really with a good argument and making us work for it.
And I'm not saying we need to make the teams bigger, but you could argue you could have 6 or 7 teams of players and still not be dropping off in terms of talent. And quick aside, I was talking to those who put the All-Star game together for the NABC. I said, geez, it's been a while. 2013 was the last time you had to put a team together where you had this quarterfinal, semifinal, so you couldn't pull from talent. I said, that's got to be so tough. He goes, easier this year than it was in 2013. We've got so much more talent now. We've got so many more teams have got players who are player of the years or who deserve that accomplishment. Whereas in 2013, he said that might have been harder because we were kind of scraping more of the barrel. And he's right. We talk about parity. It's because we got so much great talent now in Division III and more coming. That's what's so great about it.
I think Ryan's tracking sheet kind of says it all, which is not something we're going to screen share here because we don't want to. We don't want to get people more upset about how close someone might or might not have been.
Yeah.
But Ryan talks at a really high level about the amount of work that goes into this and watching games. I mean, Ryan is the guy who does this. This is what we did not have in the times before when Dave, when it was you and I. Debating stuff over a beer or barbecue or whatever between the semifinals and the final. We didn't have someone who has his eyes on the video as much as Ryan does. And his tracking list, there's 25 guys above the line. There's well more than 25 guys below the line. And the questions coming into the weekend, most years are, these always, it's like the last 3 Pool C bids would have been, right? How do we fit 7 teams into these last 3 spots? How do we fit 7 or 8 guys into these last 3 All-American teams? And then a guy like Mason Funk makes it a little easier. He plays his way on. And then we have a little bit of discussion about Kai Robinson, Shane Regan, which one of those guys goes on the first team. That was those were the things that were the last things decided, I'll be honest with you, except for Coach of the Year, which we will be ready to announce after that national championship game. It doesn't make much sense to do that right now when there's one really big coaching performance yet to take place.
I just thought we were naming 10 all Coaches of the Year because I thought there were that many great performances this year for teams. Ryan, you had a thought?
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, and obviously winning the title is a big feather in the cap for a Coach of the Year, but 2 weeks to prepare, keep a team together, work on, a game plan. I mean, this is like coaching central here with all this time to get ready for one game. I mean, you can either overcoach or undercoach or, there's all sorts of ways to do this wrong. And somebody's going to get it right. And hopefully they both get it right. And it makes it really tough as we go through.
That's a good point. Wouldn't mind that complaint. Gentlemen, appreciate it. We'll leave you on this. Any final thoughts as at least the 3 of us and 2 of us will be traveling? Get ready for Atlanta.
Well, we got lots of coverage left to come. I don't remember that we did this quite as much in 2013, but we're going to take advantage of the 2 weeks in between. And not only, of course, maybe have a couple of nights where you get 7 hours of sleep, but also we have 4 feature stories coming too on each team. So keep an eye for that in your feed on d3hoops.com over the course of the next couple of weeks. Ryan Scott is writing, Riley Zayas is writing, I am writing, which tells you how important a time of year it is. And if you give me 2 weeks, I might be able to sneak in a feature story.
I'm not writing. I
never asked Dave to write. I've learned. I never asked Ray Martell to write. Never asked Dave McHugh to write. These are the radio guys and the video guys. We'll let those guys do that milieu. And you give me 2 weeks, I can probably get a story out along with all the other things that go on the homepage and updating all of the All-America database and getting people ready for the final top 25 poll and all of those things that normally would go into about a 2-hour stretch on a Sunday now can get comfortably spread over a couple of weeks. So I'm happy about that.
Ryan, any final thoughts?
Yeah, just another great season. I don't know what I would say. It gets depressive at the end of the year, but it certainly is a challenge to go back into your normal schedule, right? To move off of a basketball schedule and into an off-season schedule. But we still got lots of exciting things. There's always the coaching carousel. We've got, a transfer portal now that always makes things interesting. And of course, we still have 2 weeks to ramp up for a championship game. That should be an awesome experience. I know the last time the women did it, they were just head over heels with the treatment that they get, and really excited for both of these teams to get that D1 treatment in Indianapolis and watch from the sidelines as that happens.
Jason Zimmerman teased in his post-game news conference on Saturday night about the kind of treatment, the kind of things that are going to happen for those teams in Indianapolis. But he didn't tell his team anything about what that was. I ran into some of those guys in the hotel lobby on Saturday night after all that was said and done, and I previewed some of it for them. I know I don't know nearly half of it, but if it's anything like it was in 2013, and they bring those guys out to get announced at like an under 12 or something like that during a national semifinal, man, in front of 80,000 whatever people, that is a big dang deal, and it's great for our student athletes here in Division III to get to experience that and hear those accolades.
Yep, they will have that. They'll have food and drink for them available when they hit the bus from the plane, escorts, and all kinds of little tiny things here and there.
Escorts through TSA also, right?
One would hope. Maybe how about you just put them on a damn charter?
Not to mention, probably playing in front of a packed out, sold out Gamebridge Fieldhouse there. That's at least talking to some of the NCAA folks. They expect that to be a, full 12, 15, 18. I don't know what it holds. 1,000 people there. Got to be the biggest game any of these guys have played in terms of crowd.
I hope
so.
So.
That's a good point. Gentlemen, appreciate it. Look forward to talking with you in the next few weeks. And Pat, seeing you in Indy and enjoying the games.
Sounds good, man. Thank you.
Take care. Pat Coleman, Ryan Scott joining us. Here's a look once again at that All-America team for men's basketball, the 5 teams for you across the board. Really good teams, to say the least. Really good teams. Really good players, really good talent. And there are players who deserve to be All-America who didn't make it, and that's not a knock on them. It's just been that amazing in terms of men's basketball, to say the least. The women's team was announced, and I just realized I don't have one of the graphics, so give me a second to stall. But it was announced already by Gordon Mann and everybody there. Congratulations to all of those players. We'll look at them real quick as we go through. Here was the 5th team All-America. I mean, come on, when you have Brooke Batchelor and Kaylee Romanowski from Scranton, Elena Beckett from McDaniel, Caroline Barton from Merchant Marine, and Riley Brandy from Hendricks. Even the women's top All-America team is absolutely full of talent when that's the 5th team. Consider how great those players' careers were, but then consider how great this season was for all 5 of them. Then you go to the 4th team. You got Ava Bardick from Illinois Wesleyan, Alexa Charles from Hunter, one of the most prolific scorers in Division III this year, or really for the last few years. And her side story, what she's doing off the court, is All-America in its quality. So are probably a lot of these. Ava Reinkartz from John Carroll. Elaine Barnard from Cal Lutheran. What a season that team had, thanks to her in particular. And Samry Perkins from Capital, another really good player. That was the 4th team for the All-America at D3 Hoops. 3rd team included more great talent. Jacqueline Berry from Hardin Simmons. Brianna Fitzgerald from SUNY Baltz. Believe the first one in program history to be a 3-time first or All-America selection, if memory serves. I might have that slightly off, but I saw some note on that for her. Congratulations. New Paltz will probably be putting her into a Hall of Fame someday in the future. Katie Kirkman at great season. Maya Metcalf at Concordia Moorhead, who had a tremendous year. And Liv Montura at Messiah. Messiah kind of, no pun intended, flew a little off the radar, but Liv was one of those players you could not turn away from when you watch their games. 2nd team All-America included J.C. Christopher from Southern Maine. Remember, this was a player who decided she wanted to go play at Southern Maine, and she helped turn that Husky program right back into the national contender, or at least regional contender they've been for so long in their history. Ada Towdy, who we had just on the show earlier from Denison. Wow, what an impact she had in those final 3 games alone in the national tournament. Paige Seckler from Oshkosh. Elsa Delario from Bates. I've got to find out why she wasn't on an NA or WBCA All-Star team, especially when her mom's coaching one of those teams. I didn't quite grasp that concept, but she was a second team and well-deserved. And Lexi Harris at WashU, a really good player for the Bears. And then the first team seems like a no-brainer, but when we just went through 4 teams of outstanding players, it seems surprising. But Casey Cranston from Scranton, of course, Caroline Pepper from NYU, Natalie Grishas from Carroll, Macy Miller at Ohio Wesleyan, and Mary Slicer at Washington Lee. Imagine what this 5 could do on a court against some D1s. And I say that not tongue-in-cheek. I mean that seriously. That is 5 darn good basketball players. And then second team goes out there as subs. I would love to see it. By the way, Mary Slicer, I did not pull the video. At the end of the All-Star game, they went and had her try a dunk. It made ESPN, at least on the socials. In my book, she dunked it. Very impressive. Mary Slicer, I'm going to miss her. Not only because she's a great player, not only because the great story of wanting to go D1 and went to D3 instead for a different sport. She's probably one of the great people to chat with. You just smile talking with her. But Casey Cranston was fun to talk with. So it was like Caroline Pepper. We didn't talk to Grishas or Miller, but we've talked to them on the side or talked about them through their coaches. Great teams on the All-America side. Good job by Gordon Mann putting that all together. As we wrap this up, quick note on the new women's top 25 that came out last night. That is out. Denison, obviously the number 1 team in all the land, getting all 25 first place votes, moving up for 8th. Scranton stayed in second. Looks like they were a solid second by everybody. No surprise there. NYU fell to 3rd, if you want to call it that. Oshkosh was 4th. I might have a bone to pick with that. I think WNL probably deserved to be in the top 4, but WNL's 5. But if I were to be voting, I would have put them ahead of Oshkosh. Chicago 6, Hope 7, Hopkins 8. Hopkins lost 2 of their last 4 of the season. Concordia Moorhead 9, John Carroll 10, Bates 11, La Crosse 12, WashU 13, Smith was at 14. Let's see here. WashU 13, Smith 14, Illinois Wesleyan 15, Bowdoin 16, Bethel 17, Ohio Wesleyan 18. Little typo there. Southern Maine is 19. Baldwin Wallace 20. 21 was Carroll, 22 Ripon, 23 Trine, Hardin Simmons at 24, Christopher Newport at 25. Falling out were New Paltz, Whitewater, and River Falls. The ones who entered, by the way, Southern Maine jumped into 19th. Hardin Simmons at 24 and Christopher Newport at 25. Receiving votes, actually the smallest it's been all year. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 first place or receiving votes category in the final women's top 25. So congratulations on the team. It was a spectacular women's season. The men's season has been spectacular and has 1 game remaining. That game obviously coming up on Eastern Sunday. It'll be on ESPN ESPN Plus for now. I have to double check. There's a twist. If any of the D2s that have a religious exemption, not exemption, but restriction, pop into this, are in that title game, and I don't know if they're still, I'm saying this not knowing if they're still in play. The men's and women's D2 Elite 8 starts today, actually, on the women's side in Pittsburgh. I think, anyway, if any of the exemption, or those two, I think there's 2 teams that were active. If they are part of it, then here's a twist. D3's game moves to CBS Sports earlier on Sunday, and D2's game moves to Monday on ESPN on some network. But I don't know, because I don't know D2 that well. It's too bad they don't have a site named d2basketball.com or something, whether those 2 teams are still active. So I may be talking about this great thing and an alternate plan that isn't going to happen. If it does happen, does that mean I get to go broadcast on CBS Sports, or do I have to now learn about D2 teams real fast? I'm just saying I have a preference. Not sure I'm going to get my way if that were to turn out. But again, I don't know who those 2 teams were. I've forgotten it a little bit. Nova Southeastern is kind of D2's powerhouse, expected to be in the title game yet again. But it'll be Emory versus Mary Washington on the men's side. Looking forward to that game, to say the least. I think Mary Washington has shown to a lot of people they just don't care. And they haven't cared since February 5th of 2025. And then Emory has shown, other than one weird weekend on a trip to Chicago and St. Louis, they've been unstoppable. Something's going to have to obviously break. Somebody's going to have to win. Somebody's going to have to lose, and we'll see how it plays out. With that in mind, we'll wrap up this Hoopsville. I want to thank Mo Hirt and Abby and Ada for coming on the show to talk about their championship at Denison. Hats off to the Big Red on what was a very good weekend to be Denison fan in terms of national championships and other successes. Hats off to Emory men's basketball and Mary Washington, as Marcus Kahn for Mary Wash and Jason Zimmerman for Emory joined us. Really enjoyed chatting with those guys about how those weekends played out, how some key moments in their games got them to the championship game. And then thanks again to Pat Coleman and Ryan Scott and the All-America announcement here on the show. With that in mind, we're going to sign off. I'm not sure what our program is going to be. I can tell you no more shows the rest of this week. I'm now going to be very much tied into Major League Baseball. We might be able to get out a show next week. Jostin's award winners are coming out later today. In fact, if you're watching us live, in under an hour, they will be announced. We'll hopefully get an interview with them. We may save that and just save our next show in general for after the men's championship. We'll see. We'll find out if we can put something together next week. If not, we'll wrap up the regular season. Well, we'll wrap up our regular season and our season finale after the championship game for sure. And we've already had a record-breaking year on Hoopsville, and looking forward to adding at least one more show to that. But follow us on Twitter at D3Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville for the latest on that, or any of our other social media. Pat Coleman noting that he did vote for WNL number 4. I think Ryan Scott said he voted for him number 4 as well. And what a program. It'll fall off a little bit without Mary Sliceler, but hats off to them, to say the least. I saw a little note. Yeah, there you go. That's all I got. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you're watching on the archive of the podcast, thank you for doing so as well. Don't forget, buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville, where you can buy me a coffee, or at the very least, you can donate and become a Hoopsville member and join in for all the extra perks that come along with it, including what my final top 25 ballot will be and our off-court podcast. We've got some other bells and whistles we're looking forward to launching here now that I finally have some time to come up for some air and get the rest of all my to-do list done. You don't want to see how long that to-do list is. You all take care. Hope you enjoyed the women's side of the tournament. Look forward to walking our way to the men's side and joining us here. Don't forget D3Hoops.com for all the features, all America lists, top 25s, all that. Plenty of content in the next couple of weeks before Pat has to start pivoting and start focusing on flag football. I say that because he's still listening to the show. You listen to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com from our friends at the Women's Basketball Coaches Association as well. Thank you for all your support along the way. Note, we've got a couple of more videos to put out. I got a couple of frames. I said frames to show you. We're going to be putting out stuff that has come into the studio. And if you want to send us any swag, jerseys, or any of that, email me. We will continue that series all throughout the offseason as long as people send us stuff. Email us, hoopsville@d3sports.com, or if you know my personal email address, send it, and we will give you the information on how you can send stuff to the Hoopsville studio. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We will see you in Atlanta at the very Atlanta, did it again. See you in Indianapolis at the very least. Hope you've enjoyed the season. We'll talk soon here on D3Hoops.com and Hoopsville. Have a great rest of your week, everybody.